Okay. So I don't know who did the song back in the day. Excuse my old school music knowledge skills. Sometimes I get a little fuzzy, but that was an old blues song, an old R&B song. I don't know. Was that Teddy Pendergrass? Was it Gerald Levert? He had a song called Everything's Out in the Open. Okay. Now I'm going to start this video off just a little bit unorthodox, right? You see all these protests that's going on about Palestine? It ain't nothing any different that's happening in Palestine right now than what has always happened. They've always done this, man. I'm telling you, them people done always dug their children out from underneath bombed out buildings. They've always had a policy of genocide. But what they do is that they cloak it underneath other names. But why is everybody protesting now? Why is everybody spamming the watermelon and the Palestine flag? Why are college campuses being threatened and shut down because of Palestine protests? Everything is out in the open because of the internet. Things can't be hidden anymore. And I say the same thing about U.S. policy as it relates to black people as I say about Palestine. There's nothing different. When it comes to the Democrat Party, the Democrats aren't doing anything different. Do you really think that cities like Baltimore become open-air drug markets because there's concerned black Democrats there who are looking out for the people? Do you think black populations like the black population that makes up 50% of the state of Mississippi, you might ask yourself the question, well, hey, if you had average IQ, okay, Mississippi is half black. Black people vote for Democrat at 92%. Shouldn't black people in Mississippi be some of the most well-off black people in the country? No, that's not how politics works. If the true people in power have that power, and if you are just relying upon political power, if you can vote the majority of the, if you got the majority in a certain area, they'll just redistrict all of the political important areas in a county to surround the white population. So their votes could count times 3 to 5. And it could take 3 of your votes to ultimately equal 1. So numerically, they always win. And at a certain point in time, you just give up and don't even come out to vote. And a itty bitty small minority of whites will end up running the whole country. And the Democrats know about these processes. It's called redistricting and jerry-rigging. Yeah, they do it all the time. They do it all the time with the Republicans. And what the Democrat Party is that it's a fake party. It's just pretend opposition. It's the bare minimum that an oligarchic monarchical society, a corporatocracy that is a oligarchic monarchy, it's the bare minimum they can do to feed the people the notion or the idea that you have two choices. And what the actors, which is all that they are, that are Democrats come in, their job is to just socially present as the party that appears to be the party opposing power. This is why when Republicans get in, they can fly off the handle doing any and everything they want. But everything that black people want to do is always like, if you look at policing bills, to protect, let's say, black people or whatever, notice how grudgingly that stuff gets passed. Notice how hard it is to get it passed. And even when you do pass it, it doesn't matter. I mean, the police killings of black men are pretty much steady and stable and the same as they were before George Floyd got killed. So the only thing that your party does is just act, with the key word being act, as political opposition. They're not political opposition, and the situation with Tyre Nichols exposes it. And what this guy is right here, this black judge by the name of Jim Jones or James Jones or something like that, he is pretty much the Israeli army. Everything that he's done in the past, it now has to be out in the open. Same thing with Mr. Mulroy right here. This was the prosecutor. You're supposed to be getting motherfuckers locked in jail. You're not supposed to be picking up people and taking them not only 300 miles away, but you took them dead into the heart of KKKville, where you know for a fact they'll be acquitted. You know, this is a prosecutor. And like I said, this is just the Democrats now, like the old R&B song. Everything is out in the open, and now people can see you for what you are. So I can only hope that this group of black people that call themselves 92% abandon this party, because there's a pathological, consistent behavior that black people have on a worldwide basis. And if you can imagine a homeless man with a grocery cart with that stick where he got his little bag of clothes on that stick, imagine that image of that man sitting on top of a big giant piece of gold. You know, he pushing grocery carts, and he's a homeless bum, a hobo, but he's riding on gold. He's walking on gold. And that's what African countries be like. It be poor, and you got a big giant resource that you can't get to work for you. Black people make $4 trillion in America, and they can't make none of that money work for them. Black people vote for the Democrats at a rate of 92%. The strongest element in the Democrat Party is black people. Without black people, the Democrat Party would cease to exist, and yet black people can't make it work for them. As a matter of fact, it works against you. Nigeria can have 200 million black people, and they get ran over by a small militia of 5,000 Arabs and have villages that lose 50,000 women. How did 200 million men allow anybody to come into their villages and kidnap 50,000 women? Black people, the things that tend to be advantageous resources for black people never get used to their advantage, because black people just can't use those things to their advantage. And it's the same thing here, you know. If you look at Jasmine Crockett, she's right there. There's something that the black people are conveniently not telling you. You got this big old story, right, of Carmelo Anthony. Everybody knows of, you know, better yet, Metcalf and Carmelo Anthony, right? Austin Metcalf. Jasmine Crockett hasn't uttered a word, and she hopes to God that y'all don't put no pressure on her, you know, to say anything, because she doesn't represent black people. She's just part of the construction of the appearance of opposition. I think they call it controlled opposition. She's just part of the controlled opposition appearance. That's it. And they never give you anybody of actual substance with a record of accomplishment. She's somebody who you can just look at and say, she looked like my little sister. She looked like my little cousin. And she's somebody important, and she's successful, and she proves to the world that we are somebody. But when it comes down to her policy, you know, it will just about be the same whenever you look at voting records as, you know, people that hate the black community. You know, so these people don't represent us, man. And I can only hope that black people in these flagrant, because this is just so beyond flagrant. Like, whenever people, and I done said for years, the Democrat Party doesn't care about black people, and they're racist, and they're paid by white corporatocracies and multinational corporations. They're deliberately paid to not give a fuck about you, you know. But just like the situation in Israel, it has always been that way. You don't get poor black cities and an impoverished black existence. The biggest thing that these black Democrats rely upon is you voting them in and not looking in any shape or way at what they do or don't do. When Biden was president, the Fearless Fund, which was a $20,000 grant, an interest-free grant that went to black women, was taken away. And the white people say it's discrimination against us, but nobody went after the AAPI, which is for Asians and Pacific Islanders. Nobody went after that. Only you as a black woman. I mean, you had a whole Biden administration with what y'all refer to as a black woman sitting there as his vice president, and they couldn't do anything about it. They didn't bother to do anything. They never even turned their head in the direction of the whole situation. They didn't stand up and fight when the white people were getting rid of affirmative action. And remember, over 70% of college students that are black are women. When they was getting rid of affirmative action, Kamala Harris and Joe Biden, they didn't say anything. They didn't say anything, like nothing at all. They didn't even, it was like a man standing in the boxing ring fighting against a shadow. I won't even say that they were a shadow. It was nothing. It was literally walking into the boxing ring and receiving the belt from the referee. That's it. The Democrats were not even there. And see, when it comes to a lot of stuff, like, in my state, Joe Biden did something. He created the appearance of caring about black people. There's a big problem in the middle of the state, in the area of Alabama known as the Black Belt. Not only do you got prison slavery, pretty much in Alabama State Penitentiary, you have a horrifically bad crisis with the water. The water pipe the sanitation system just needs to be installed. These people out there using septic tanks, which is a big old tank you bury about 5 feet below, into the ground. But most people don't bury it 5 feet. It ends up being just buried 3 or 4 feet. And when it rains hard, you got shit water all over the place. So you got Democrats that represent shit water parts of Alabama in a modern day world among a people who ourselves generate $4 trillion, but that $4 trillion doesn't work for us. So Joe Biden passed a program to go ahead and give the state of Alabama $1 billion to go ahead and implement a sanitation system down there. The only thing was he earmarked the date for the money to be released in 2025 when he possibly could have not been in there. If you actually wanted the black folk and the corporate and the contractors around there to get that money, not to go spend on rims and weave and shit, but to give it to the contractors to implement the sanitation system, you would have did it when you were in power. You would not have earmarked it 2 years later, because Biden did this in 2023. And the very second that it came up to Trump, you know what he said? This is a bunch of DEI bullshit. Fuck that. And he tore it up. And that is pretty much racism working along with its fake, phony representation that it has for other people. Because the reason why I say that I'm very proud of Carmelo Anthony is that the only thing that power submits to is a beatdown and pain and defeat. Let me repeat that again. The only thing that power submits to is a beatdown, pain, and defeat. So if you ain't out there and if you haven't actually fought anybody in the past to get some real, true, actual rights, you ain't got no rights. You just got a issued out appearance of rights. They call it the illusion of inclusion. You just have something that appears to be representation and something that appears to be rights. But like I said, at this day and age where everything's out in the open, just like we can see in Palestine what's been going on for decades, we can now see what the Democrat Party truly is. And that includes Cory Booker, AOC, Ilhan Omar, Ralph Warnock, those 4 black female judges that were elected back in 2018 in Central and Southern Georgia, Fannie Willis, Latita James, Jasmine Crockett, Maxine Waters, that lady who's the mayor of LA. All of them are in on it. I mean, the black people in LA are still fucked over. It doesn't matter that the mayor is black. They're still fucked over, But as long as you maintain this loyal commitment, it's kind of like a man that gets eggs, sausage, and French toast from his wife every morning. It doesn't matter that he beats on her. It doesn't matter that he molests their daughter. It doesn't matter that he never takes her out. He never gives her a gift. He never compliments her hair after she gets it changed. He abuses her. He cheats on her. He even disrespects her in front of her very own family. But there's one sure shot guarantee. He is going to have those eggs, that French toast, and that bacon every single morning. And that's the 92% of loyalty that black people give to exactly what you've been looking at the whole time I've been making this video. A party that blatantly, openly engages in flagrant, clear, in-your-face white supremacy. It's kind of like, look, we can't just tell you, fuck you. We have to just smile at you. But have you ever seen that person that's around another person that so completely wants to tell them to go away? Like, you're not my type of person. I don't want to have nothing to do with you. You're not funny. You spit whenever you talk. I don't like how you dress right now. I really don't like you standing next to me. You make me look a certain way. You smell. I don't like your clothes. I don't like your hairstyle. I don't like your style as a person. I don't like the way you talk. I hate the fact that I even live in the same neighborhood with you, but you just have to, when certain people are around, smile and giggle with this person. That's pretty much black Democrats' relationship to the black population, and that is most definitely the relationship of the white Democrats toward the black population. You are a group of people who they are embarrassed to even be around. They don't want to have nothing to do with you, and they're forced to put on a smile. And once again, the pathology of black people having a massive resource to their advantage, but not being able to do anything with it, is relevant and still live to this day. Anyways, thanks for listening. 92%. Give me a fucking break. You're walking around on African gold with a starving child with maggots in your face. But unfortunately, most of you all aren't mentally sophisticated enough to draw the parallels.